Hey there, Vernacular Faithful. Redcoat here, and I am at Proto ATL. And this is a game design and game development convention where you've got publishers, game designers, and prototypers, and game testers all commiserating, sharing ideas, getting inspired, and doing all that good stuff. So I've got one of the attendees here. If you would please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Julio Nasario. I'm a designer here at Proto ATL.
Yeah. So what brought you out here? What brought you here?
I've been a designer for about 8 years now. I'm part of the Game Designers of North Carolina, which is a big board game design group out of North Carolina, and I'm out of Asheville. I've been in this industry for about 8 years now, and I find that Proto ATL has been one of my favorites. They have a very open, free flow kind of, you test my game, I test yours, and so on. And it's just overall fun
Mhm.
to go around.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've been in the board gaming community writ large for some time. Would you say that?
Yeah, I mean, 8 years is can be a long time, but
Mhm.
this industry has been around for over 30,
Yeah.
if not more. So,
So what kind of drew you into making games?
well, like a lot of people, I was always a big video gamer. I am originally from Puerto Rico,
Mhm.
which I moved to the States 10 years ago, and I was never a fan of playing online. You know, that kind of disconnect on the social component with playing with people. I'm also playing Smash Brothers and in front of a TV with my friends, and I was just looking for people to connect with and things to do, and I came upon a board game store, and that's kind of how it all started. So I played more and more board games and really took a liking with the social aspect of sitting around a table to play games.
Yeah, so it's kind of like it evolved from your desire for couch co-op, so to speak.
Yeah,
And
to table gameplay.
yeah, and I feel like that spirit of sociability, that's something that kind of that filters into the board game industry as a whole, because it really feels like because I know in a lot of spaces you'll get some conventional advice from some people where like you got to keep your secrets, keep stuff close to the chest, but it feels like in this industry that it's a lot more open.
Yeah, especially when you're starting out, you don't know how it is. So keeping your ideas to yourself is certainly a lot of that newbie designers do. But the reality is that ideas are a dime a dozen. And sometimes, honestly, no matter how good they sound, are worthless.
Mhm.
The only thing that matters is the implementation of that idea and the work that goes behind that,
Yeah.
and only you can do that. So in reality, when if there's any sort of stealing of going on in this industry, is maybe games that are already been successful
Yeah.
and have an audience behind it. So starting from your own new game is one of those things that there's
It's
that's
a
not a
worthwhile approach, yeah.
you know
Because I think that's the thing also because also in the current monetary environment, the idea of I feel like it's just better to share. To be out there and talking about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and being making those Discord communities and everything. Because otherwise, you don't get the social proof, you don't get the social buzz.
Yeah, and not just that. It's also the fact that to get your game to a better place, you have to test it with other people.
Mhm.
There's only so much you can do with your doing things yourself, and with family members, you want to have an expanded opinion of people that from different backgrounds and different experience levels. So conventions like this provide that.
Yeah, yeah. So you've mentioned you've been in the industry for about 8 years, and so how many games? How many games? How many games?
So I have designed at this point over 80 some games, and that can be from I again idea to prototype, to pitchable state, and of course at that point as a designer I pitch games to publishers so they can license my games and publish them themselves, and I get a royalty out of it.
Mhm.
So out of published games at this point, I've had 9 games published with a 10th one coming out this later this year.
Awesome. So That's a lot of games. That's the most I've heard. That is a lot of games, and over 8 years, no less. So. Is this like a full time thing for you, or you've been doing it like on the side?
It isn't. It isn't. It's just it's my jobby, as I call it.
Ah.
And it gives me the flexibility. I am an engineer by trade, so my mind works towards solving problems, and in this case, the problem is where's the fun in
Yeah.
games. And I also with that flexibility, I've been able to step back a bit. I just had kids in a short span of time, 3 kids. So it gave me that flexibility, and now I'm just getting back into it. And I figured with Proto ATL being my first ever design convention 8 years ago,
Mhm.
I wanted to be my first after being back. So
Ah, nice. So it's like it was what brought you in, and when you left for a while, and now you've come back. It's like I keep trying to get out, but they keep drawing me back in.
no, I mean it's certainly priorities.
Yeah.
And 8 years ago I was at a different place,
Hmm.
and now it's just the reality of the chapter in my life, which I love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like every life is a story, and so it's like you got the and I like how you phrased it. It's this kind of thing of where it's the jobby. I've never heard anyone call it that actually. Jobby. That's cool. I like that phrase. I'm gonna steal it. Steal that
No
phrase.
problem.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But yeah. So what are you working on now? Like what's you got?
So I do have about 15 games in a state where I'm pitching it actively to publishers. So in this convention, I've tested some games that are in an earlier state to make them better, and I've set up some meetings with publishers to show them the games that I got, and they may be interested in take a copy with them to test with their partners and see if there's an opportunity for them to sign my game,
Hmm.
and then get it published in 2 to 3 years from
Okay.
now.
So for all of those aspiring designers out there who are looking for how to what to do to get started and what they'd like to do, do you have any sterling advice?
Yes. So, uh, first is learning from other people's experiences. There's certainly a lot of great information around and a lot of things that you can stumble through, but that takes time and it can hurt those experiences. So, podcast is one thing that I used a lot in my board game journey. There's a lot of great podcasts out there about this industry, not just from a designer perspective, but from different perspectives.
Hmm.
I recommend there's a Building the Game podcast, which I'm a co-host on.
Hmm.
There's the Game Designers of North Carolina podcast.
Hmm.
There's the Board Games Insider. It just kind of gives you an insight into the industry, and also play games
Hmm.
and start designing whatever way you can. Start with what you know.
Hmm.
That's usually the first thing that I recommend. And don't get too attached to your first games. Usually those are not the best. And if you can do more than one, go ahead. That way you can split your focus if you get stuck on any one of them. And that's just I know a lot of people just go with the one and not working that for 2 years, which is fine. But I usually recommend splitting out a little bit
Yeah. Well, I mean that makes sense. 80 games over 8 years. I'm still just like
more.
that is amazing to me. But yeah, well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Eh,
Sakai.
yeah, and so that is name again for me, just
Julio Nasario.
Julio Nasario. And where can we find you? Where can we find you?
Well, we have a Game Designers of North Carolina website, and in there you'll see all the designers, and you can find my name there and all the games that I have published. Not well, have been published with my name on it, and all the games that are some of the games are looking publication. But so Board Game Geek, I am on X. Haven't been too active lately, but Junazaru, Junazare.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for coming on. I
Thank you.
know. I'm gonna shake your hand a third time.
One more.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
All right. Have a wonderful day, all you guys out there. Play the games you want to play, and we're signing off.